How you doing, everyone? Back to make another video. This one's going to be about the law, God's law and Satan's counterfeit color of law. I don't know if you ever looked any of this information up, but it's very interesting. You know, a lot of it has to do with the sovereign citizen, you know, things like that. Basically, God created us all as sovereigns. You know, I know my whole life I thought things didn't make sense. You know, what, like taxes, and you know, I was born here. I was placed here. I was created and put here. Who has the right to tell me I have to do anything? To tell me I have to pay to exist? That I can't just have land somewhere and just to live off the land like we're supposed to? That is the New World Order. To pay for everything, to pay for your existence, or be killed, and not only pay for it, but to be thankful and have allegiance towards your slavery. So God's law is common law, is plain and clear. Color of law is actually a felony under our United States Code, 240, Section 18, USC 242. And what that has to do with is, like any town ordinance, they make up all these rules as they go along, and we just assume that these people are in charge and they have a solicitor, a lawyer in town, and you know, it just shows how this whole system is corrupt, and it's under Satan's law. Like an ordinance, I had issues in town, being harassed by these local thug politicians and zoning officers. Where do these people come from? I can't imagine if someone came onto my grandfather's land and had told him that he not only had to pay them to do work on his own property, but needed their permission. He would have threw them off. He would have thrown them on their head out in the street. And today, people around here just do it. You know, all across the country, it's just a scam to take away your rights, and they get the local politicians to go along with it. They're probably, you know, most of them are probably brainwashed too, but they do it because they profit off of it. So using their greed and using our ignorance, and this is how the spiritual manifests into the physical. That if you're not giving yourself to Jesus, you are Satan's property, and you don't realize certain things until you're free. And you can only be free under our King Jesus Christ. So the color of law, it's an imitation of law. It's like law, but it's not law. The same thing with money. Real money is backed by gold and silver, backed by a tangible asset. Our currency, it's not even, I don't even know what you would call it. Our debt notes, our IOUs, Federal Reserve dollars, private business, these world bankers, Satan's bankers, they use these Federal Reserve notes. Private corporation, has nothing to do with our government, print this money out of thin air, backed by nothing, and with each dollar printed, each dollar in your pocket is worth less money. So we are using color of money. It's like money. You can get things with it, but you're not really purchasing anything with it, and you're constantly driving up debt. There's more debt than currency printed. It's debt slavery. It's a way through inflation and deflation to steal the land that we were given. You know, God gave us the land, our covenant. As we fall away from God, we lose those rights. You know, you're falling under Satan's domain and dominion, then he has the say-so over your life and what you own, what you don't own, what you're in control of. You don't even own yourself. How can you own anything else? You know, your house, your car. You don't have deeds to it. You have certificate of deeds. And then the same thing, even on the bigger scale, is we're not referred to as humans in the Bible. We're referred to as man. Well, if you look up the word hue, it'll say the color of man. That's what human is. We're not a true man if you're under Satan's law. You're a human. Color of money, like the movie, they made fun of that because, they do that in all their movies. Laugh at us, useless eaters, think we're stupid. And, it's not stupidity. It's we're blind. We're spiritually blind. We can't see these things. We're unable to see them. The scales are over our eyes. The reptilian, dragon, serpent scales. Lady Justice is blind over our eyes. So we have color of law. And for anyone interested, if you're having any trouble with town ordinances or other nonsensical things, here's a way to defeat it. But you probably won't understand it unless you are saved, because your whole mindset changes. But it shows our court system screwed up because these things should never even make it to court. But here's the trick: that if you don't know your rights, you're waiving your rights. So if you get an ordinance violation, it has to refer to some state law. We don't have local a local legislative body in our towns and cities. The state does that. The states have a constitution, and these ordinances, they're all called codes, rules, and all this other nonsense, because they can't call it a law. It's not a law. And how the only way to beat it, if you go to court, most people are in the other mindset. They're already been raised in that mindset. You'll say why it's not fair, why Joe down the street can do it and he's not in trouble. Well, that's the whole point of zoning and all that, is to selectively enforce these rules to the greedy and their friends. But what you have to do is you have to demand a pre-trial hearing. At the pre-trial hearing is the time when you ask for the dismissal. You state that there is no state law referenced in the ordinance and that you want to demand a dismissal. And that's how you defeat these things. It's that simple. Otherwise, if you let it go to court, you've already missed out on your due process. That's how you start your due process rights. Also, the 7th Amendment states, any civil matter, $20 or greater, you have a right to a jury trial. Well, the local courts and administrative buildings that pose as courts, supposed to be common law courts, will tell you they don't do that. Well, what they're meaning, whether they know it or not, is they may not do that there. But you absolutely have the right to the jury trial. And like I said, this is how the spiritual manifests into the physical, the 4th dimension into the 3rd dimension. So I just found that amazing. That, like I said, the human, the color of man. We're slaves. We're not really men. As men, man meaning men and women. If you're a true man created in the image of God, you are a sovereign. You are a king. You don't answer to anybody, and the basic common law is, as long as you're not hurting anyone, stealing anyone, or damaging their property, you've committed no crime. There has to be an injured party for there to be a crime. So, and other people might, relate this to, well, all law stems from, like our Constitution and things stem from the Magna Carta, and all that. All law stems from the Bible. And it's the same thing, works-based, as in the other video, works-based religion, and salvation through grace and mercy. And it's the same thing with the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament was about works-based religion. And, everyone was guilty. God found, gave people ways to, set up the sacrifice and, the Day of Atonement, things like that. But that was the whole point of leading up to Jesus, because he knew all men were going to sin. If you sin one time in your life, you're guilty. You're guilty under works. So that's what Jesus was here for. His sacrifice that he willingly gave on the cross, dying and being resurrected 3 days later, was his blood was the payment. His blood in the court case was our redemption. So he redeemed us. He presented us with the new law, the new covenant, the New Testament, the will, the last will and testament. He left us the inheritance. He's sharing his inheritance with us, those who freely choose it. You have to freely choose it. Again, God will never lie. God will never go on his word. He's God. He doesn't need to lie. Only cowards lie. You lie when you're afraid or to hide something. God fears nothing. He answers to nobody. He's perfect. He's righteous. And that's why what he says is true. Again, the King James. Every word is placed there because God doesn't need to lie, and he had those people write each word. Whether people want to argue whether they were up to this or that, it doesn't matter. Even it doesn't matter what their intentions were or whatever. God can use good or bad shown all through the Bible. He can use the wicked to serve his purpose. What do you think Satan and the fallen angels are all about? It's about them serving the purpose for our test. It's not only our test, it was their test. What Satan hated most was the fact that that we were going to be placed above him and the angels. Well, through his own disobedience, he caused the very thing he didn't want to happen. Through his own works, he created the situation he wanted to stop. Had he been loyal, things would have turned out differently, but God already knew the end from the beginning. I heard, I forget who said it, but a lot of people, when they question the Bible and question God, they'll say, well, if there's a God, why would things be like this? This whole world's screwed up. You're right, it is. But the Bible clearly states the lowercase g God of this world is the devil. And that's why his new world order, his law, is taking place. He's been in charge. He's been running the show. And the best way I ever heard it was as an example of a teacher. If you're a teacher and you're in your classroom and you have a student, say, this is an example, but you have an unruly student going around telling everyone how, this teacher doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't have it right, he's wrong, I can do it better, if I was up there I would do it this way. Well, if that teacher just gets angry and throws the student out of the classroom, sends him to the office, well, okay, he's out of there and the other students are there, but they may start thinking like, well, maybe he was right. How do we know he wasn't right? So God's demonstrating. He gave Satan the reins. He let him have things his way, and we assisted all the way with our own sins and our own free will, and we were deceived and tricked, but we still made the choices. We always had God in our hearts telling us wrong from right. We all know that. But a real teacher, what they would do is say, okay, well, I'm going to sit down for a moment and you come up and teach the class. We'll do it your way. And I believe personally that that's what God has done. He's letting everyone see what happens with the disobedience, what sin leads to, death and destruction. We see what's happening in this world. I wish everyone saw. I'm sure all you out there wish everyone could see too. We wish they had the eyes and ears. And unfortunately, as a parent myself, I'm sure other parents can relate, you never want to have to scold or discipline or yell at your children. At least I hope you don't. But I know I don't. I hate it. It hurts me to do that. And some kids, out of just the goodness and out of not wanting to disappoint, will listen. And I believe that's a lot of the people that will be taken in the rapture are those people. Well, just out of genuinely wanting to know the truth and out of love. I mean, we all have fear of God. Obviously, he can do anything, any moment, any time to any of us. But for me, at least, the driving factor is love, and I don't want to disappoint him any more than I feel as though I may have in this learning process, in this life. And it's generally out of wanting to know the truth and out of wanting to please him, and out of being thankful and repenting of my sins, not wanting to sin anymore. Yes, some of it is out of fear, of course, but most of it is genuinely out of love and just not wanting to let him down. How else can you thank the creator of everything? You can't surprise him. I don't believe. He already knows everything that from the start and the finish. But to be obedient and to want to please him, and to, and people, these people are so prideful and so angry. You think you know better than God that created everything. He's not shouting out rules out of anger at you. He's saying, look, I created all this. If you do this, things are going to work out better for you, because I made the system, I've made everything, and I kind of know the in and outs of it. I don't want to brag, but I'm letting you know that I know how it all works. And if you do X, Y, and Z, and you do it the wrong way, well, it's not going to be so great for you. You're going to have a rocky road. You're going to have a bumpy road. But the main focus of the video is the law. This is Satan's counterfeit world, as above, so below. He wants to make his heaven on earth, which is, hell on earth. It's going to be a nightmare. And he wants to get us all under the law, again, under his color of law, under his dominion, under his rule, and to keep as many people as he can from the rapture, because he knows how much harder it's going to be at that point. He's going down. He knows that somewhere in himself, whether he wants to admit it or not, that his fate's sealed, and he's going to take as many with him as possible. And those tribulation saints, they'll have their they have their purpose, and they'll have to go through what they have to go through. But some children have to be scared, or see their parents angry at them, for them to listen, have the fear motivate them. I have the love motivating me personally. Like I said, there is fear there, of course. There's never not fear or taking anything for granted. I hope I'm part of the bride. I hope I'm part of the rapture. But if I'm here, then I know I'm supposed to be. Some people are going to be stuck here, but I believe those of us who know that the rapture happens before the tribulation, and I believe we will be taken. I believe it's soon. Dates, who knows? But everything is just happening so quickly, and the people are just so blind. They're literally still little children. Texting each other. It's like passing notes in class, playing lottery and scratch-off tickets, and watching these TV shows that are designed for 3- and 4-year-olds, and they're still, uncertain how things work, and still have questions, and they're just being dumbed down, and they're under Satan's control. He has a legal right to them. Again, the vampire that wants to come in. He may trick you, but if you let him come in, you've given him a legal right. So, color of man, color of law, color of money. This whole world is Satan's fake world. And I pray every day for eyes to see and ears to hear, to see through the veil and see through the glamour. And God bless everyone. And be making another video soon, probably Monday or so, Monday or Tuesday. I feel an urgency to share some things, and I don't know if I'm constantly being shown things, and I get a little hesitant to make videos, just because I don't want to ever show anyone anything incorrect. But these things are things I know to be true, and I hope they help. And if they're around for those that have to go through the tribulation, God bless you, and just have faith and don't give up. This world is literally, people about the suffering and the pain. Well, we're not physical beings. We're spiritual creatures in a physical matrix. you know, or that's what you have to remember, that death here means you get out. It hurts for that moment or whatever it takes, but that's to teach you the lesson of the consequences of your actions, that you will be okay. You know, your spirit will be okay, but you don't want to die of that second death. That spiritual death is the real death, the true death, the eternal death. You don't want that. Just ask, humble yourself. You know, you're in private. He wants a relationship with you. Just ask Jesus, ask God to show you the truth. That's all you have to do. Show you. Just ask Him to show you. Simple prayers, and the change happens all by itself. Believe me, I would be the last person that anyone would ever think, would be talking about any of this, including myself. And I just wish I could share this with everyone. Everyone get that feeling when you just finally understand how the whole world works, or I'm sure there's endless mysteries to God, but when you just feel like for the first time in your life you just understand things. It all fits. It all makes sense. We're in Revelation, the revealing. The veil is being lifted, and we're getting to see things. God is showing us all now. God bless everybody. Praise our Lord Jesus Christ. And I hope you're all well. And don't forget to comfort each other, because I'm sure everyone else feels the same as I do. Every day, every minute is torture in this world. And, just focus, keep our heads looking up, and look for our Lord. Take care, guys.